The win. Here was Giannis after the game.
I believe like being humble in victory. That's how I am. Now there can be a lot of people out there that are like, no, when you win the game, you gotta talk, and you know it's a green light for you to be disrespectful towards somebody else. I disagree. I've won the championship. They haven't. You know, having somebody's that which I'm happy for him, and I'm happy for his son, and I'm happy that he's happy for his son. That's how you're supposed to feel. But coming to me and disrespecting me and cursing at me, I think is totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable.
So there's a lot to unpack here. We've got to deal with the Giannis of it all. We've got to deal with the comeback of it all, the blown lead of it all. But we have to begin by dealing with that moment. Windy, I'll start with you. You cover this league as closely as literally anyone I've ever known. You're around these guys all the time. What are the right things to say about the confrontation between John Haliburton and Giannis last night?
Tyrese checked his dad, said he was out of line. John Haliburton tweeted an apology. Let's move past that because what happened on the court is way more important. Tyrese Haliburton, who just a couple of weeks ago was voted the most overrated player in the NBA by his peers in a poll in The Athletic, has an incredible moment in his career. 3 gigantic baskets down the stretch of this game. We didn't even have enough time to show the dunk that he had to force overtime. And in the moment of truth, they go to an ISO situation with Tyrese on Giannis. This is the former Defensive Player of the Year. I text Rick Carlisle last night. I go, Rick, did you purposely set that screen wanting Tyrese on Giannis? And he said, I made a decision to let Tyrese make a play. He gets by Giannis to win the game and says, overrate that. Because it's an iconic moment for him. He's on the scoreboard, on the scorer's table, celebrating afterwards. And then I've got 2 devastating stats for the Milwaukee Bucks fans. One, being up 7 points with 40 seconds left in the playoffs. Teams were 0 and 1,600. This is unrecoverable to explain how you give up this lead in this short a time. The Gary Trent turnovers are going to haunt him all year. And then Giannis Antetokounmpo, the last 10 games he's played in the playoffs for the Bucks, he's averaged 30 points and 15 rebounds. Last night, 30, 20, and 13. And in those 10 games, they're 1 and 9. That's an indictment of where the Bucks are, and certainly hangs over his future decisions.
All right. So, I mean, Wendy's setting the table on literally all of the topics extraordinarily well. The Giannis future is one I'm going to put in my back pocket here. We're going to get to that because that's going to become the next enormous story here. How about the moment at the finish there? And Wendy is right. Look, John Haliburton acknowledged afterwards that he shouldn't have done it, and he apologized. Tyrese said that his dad shouldn't have been there. You heard that Giannis was upset about it. This is the kind of thing that doesn't happen in football. Fans don't run out onto the field in that moment. That's obviously just that visual, that image that you have there. That's a tough one to take. RC, what was your reaction?
Yeah, like I agree with Wendy, right? You want to talk about the basketball, but to me, the basketball is secondary. Because you're supposed to protect your players. Everything is about the shield in the NFL, and part of that shield is the people that are on the field. This is Giannis Antetokounmpo. This is a Finals MVP. This is an MVP of the league. This is the first ballot Hall of Famer, and you got John Haliburton running on the court acting like Gilly the Kid at a Philly game, right? That just can't happen. And kudos to Giannis Antetokounmpo of being the type of man that he is. Because I know a ton of football players, and the first thing I thought when they were face-to-face was headbutting. Right? Because if you're going to allow people on the court, if you're going to allow fans to be face-to-face with players, then players should get to protect themselves against those fans and against those people. And I believe he should never be allowed to be at another basketball game. He shouldn't be allowed. He shouldn't get to come to the suite.
Come to the building.
Punish him. Yeah. Right, if you're gonna run on the court, if you're gonna be big and bad, if you're gonna put yourself above the game, don't come to the game ever. You have to make a stand so no one else does this.
See, I think the operative word is what's on the screen right there: disrespectful.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that's going on towards athletes in general overall right now. Okay, people think that guys are robots, don't deserve respect. They're just kind of like, almost like, you know, just little figures of their entertainment, and that they can talk to them, treat them, disrespect them in any way. Look, we just saw this happen like in the draft this year with people prank calling players when they're sitting there waiting for a call from a team. It's that kind of thing. It's that kind of mentality. But now you take it to another level where you're running onto a court. I mean, really, Mr. Haliburton, you're going to face Giannis Antetokounmpo? The guy is sitting there. The guy could crush you. But there's no respect. There's none. And you know why? Because they don't really fear the fact that these players are going to wind up doing something. And you know what? Until something like that happens, until somebody takes a swing on somebody and actually really puts somebody down, I think this is going to continue to go this way. You're right. You don't. You're right. You don't want that.
So let's be clear about what happened.
You don't want that.
He acknowledges it. You see it on the screen. You see the tweets from John Haliburton on the screen. He is a player's dad. Here's the real problem that we have. Is that I saw Giannis afterwards, one of the things he said, but he didn't know it at first. He doesn't know that this isn't just, I'm going to use this term unadvisedly, a random fan. This could have been any human being standing out there on the floor. They wouldn't have been standing there. There were a lot of things that went into what could have been a far worse moment, and I agree with you. Giannis, I think, shows extraordinary restraint in that moment and not allowing it to turn into something that completely ruins and overshadows all the other things that happened. So, terrible moment there. We do our best to move on from it. The loss of the Bucks, and he just ran through it. And can I put that stat up one more time? It is full screen number A36, because I think it cannot be emphasized enough. This scenario had played out where there was a lead of 7 or more points in the final 40 seconds, 1,609 previous times, going back to the 98 season. And no team had ever relinquished that lead before. Alan, what do we say about that?
Well, it says that for the Bucks, first of all, it's a complete meltdown, but it's almost emblematic of their season and really what this whole, since trading for Damian Lillard, has become for the Bucks. It's been one meltdown after another. Things you can't control, which are injuries, obviously, but also things you can control, which is personnel and how you use them. Firing a coach early last season, having Doc come in midseason, and all the things that have gone on with that organization. And as Windy alluded to, and you could see it in Giannis too after the game, we also showed you him not just going at it with Haliburton's dad, but also Ben Mathurin. You saw him have a talk with him, and then that got like into a bit of a tussle. Did you see right here? He was talking to him, and all of a sudden, like, Mathurin's like, I don't like what you're saying to me, and he starts pushing back. Giannis is feeling a certain way about how this season ended because he might be thinking that this is how my Bucks career could be ending. There's a lot of emotion in Giannis here, and it goes beyond just the idea of respect. And this offseason for him begins right now, and the future for him begins, of course, right now. But where is the question?
Winning is so fragile. The opportunity to do so is so fragile, and that's across sports. I was there for Game 3 of this series when Milwaukee was able to get that win with Dame Lillard, Gary Trent Jr. went off. The conversation that I've been a part of as far as the Bucks go, there was a couple things. Dame's health, but they really felt like Dame was still a guy that could get you a game. Bobby Portis' suspension, getting Bobby Portis back on the floor. They felt like they had a good balance of veterans and youth. And at times, frankly, the basketball